Hi, everyone. Welcome to Grow Big TV.
Hello.
Boom, as Lewis said. Boom. Boom. So we have AJ. We have AJ's Green Topics today. We're going to talk about worms, and it's going to be an exciting show. Many people do not have worms, or they're not allowed to have worms inside the house to vermicompost.
Yeah, that, and I don't think people realize how important worms are to your garden, to grow things. And even myself, I keep forgetting, hey, what about worms? I keep forgetting about it. And I just added worm castings to my garden when I planted my peas. And I'm thinking, why didn't I think about this before? So this is gonna be a great topic tonight to talk about. Super excited. So
great. That was Atari.
No, my mom calls me at the most awkward times.
So, who is AJ's Green Topics, or AJ Welch? That's his name. So his description is YouTube. I raise red wrigglers, blue worms, European night crawlers inside plastic worm bins. These are amazing creatures who are able to help reduce, recycle, and reuse majority of our food waste. There is too much food being thrown away and hold in landfills, isn't it? Yeah. It should be used, putting out to the garden or your flowers, right? This channel, AJ's Green Topics, is to teach beginners on how to turn their food waste into rich, healthy, organic fertilizer using composting worms. Make no excuses about the size of your household or living space. You could build your first worm farm and start composting today. And that leads us to, well, we got to show our 6 inches, 6 inches of soil before we welcome on AJ, and then we're going to see who's in the chat. So it's very important we do to show this video, because that's what the channel is about. It's about the soil and learning and all that little things. So actually, we're not going to do the 6 inches soil. We're going to do Common Ground. It's basically a little different movie. It just came on out. Hope you guys.
And this is from the guy we just interviewed. Just let you guys know.
A new documentary is launching a movement to change our farming practices and restore our soil.
I'm excited to share with you all Common Ground.
This is the single most important story of our lifetime. Now we have the ability to literally stop climate change in its tracks within less than a generation.
This film actually proposes a solution. They could actually bring the entire planet to carbon neutral.
This is a crazy concept. This is insane.
Common Ground needs to be seen in the White House.
We couldn't not make a second film after Kiss the Ground. I mean, it was a runaway success.
The film is a love letter to our children, all about how we can save their future, but also make sure that the world is thriving for all future generations.
We have to come together and find common ground for common good.
How was the film received? Sold out screening.
It's probably one of the most important films you'll ever see this year.
Go watch Common Ground. Best movie of the year.
It is a movie of our time and the next generations to come.
This movement is catching on like wildfire. What should I do next?
Go see Common Ground!
That is going to be totally awesome. And I'm really looking forward to that. So let's see who's in the chat quick. We got Wanda Moses, Built on a Rock Homestead, Jay Dixon. Love Jay Dixon and Jane Doe. And thank you guys for being the best mods out there. There's DJ's Adventures and Beyond. It's the Marshmallow Man, Susan Goulet, Riverdale Gardens, God's Desire for Me, Urban Garden Chronicles, We got Kathleen Moran, Janice Erfler, Garden State So and So. We got Serena. Serena, welcome in, Serena.
Yeah, we have Tony. Tony's in the house.
Oh, that's awesome, Tony. Tony's number one. Tony's number one. Number one. Thank you guys for helping Tony to get the number one book out. So, which is pretty cool. First time he put the book out, first day, he was number one. So, congratulations, Tony, on your book, and continued success. And Tony's going to be on our channel with Gardner Scott, Chili Chump, and it's the Marshmallow Man. I'm just joking. Oh my God, who did I just forget? That's terrible. Mary's Heirloom Seeds. Yep. And so they're going to be on our channel in 2 weeks. We're going to have a nice round table, which is going to be so awesome. Let's see, who else? Anybody else just come on in? No, that's it. So awesome, guys. Thank you if you guys can share this out. Thank you guys for all the lurkers. We appreciate you guys. So welcome AJ's Green.
The braids get me. Hey, thank you. How you doing, Joe and Corky?
Doing good.
Good to see you. Thank you for coming on and hanging out with us tonight. And we're so interested in what you have to talk about. This is going to be great.
So, Indiana Backyard Gardener's here. Welcome in, Adrian. Okay.
Howdy.
This is a situation, AJ.
Okay.
My wife doesn't want worms in the house. She thinks they're going to crawl up on her in the middle of the night, go over here, go up her nose. Where are we going to go?
Yeah.
What?
You tell everybody it's not possible.
No, they won't get in your bed. They won't cuddle with you. And just between us, just don't let your wife know. Sneak them in the house. My wife's like, don't listen to him.
And they don't smell. It's not going to bring this odor in your house that you're like, exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy because I don't know how these myths were told to us that they would stink. And once you start raising worms, a lot of things the myths are busted. So yeah, they will not stink. They will not cuddle. So you have no worries when it comes to having your worm bin started.
Now, if somehow one you picked up and it got cut in half, what happens to it?
It dies. If you cut it in half, it'll die. But if you just cut the end of its tail off, it'll survive. So that's a myth that they multiply in half. Nope, it'll die completely. So don't cut them in half unless you're using those for worm bait or for fishing bait. So
this is going to be great live.
Well, I thought they would multiply like Deadpool, that Marvel guy too, but nope, it's proven that they'll die. So
interesting, because I was always told that worms have 5 hearts and
they do have 5 hearts.
Yep, they do.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's true. They do.
They like the love.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how they work with the 5 hearts, what all of them do, but I know that they have 5 hearts.
Now, what kind of worms are there for vermicomposting?
There's 4 types. You have the red wigglers. Nowadays, you can get 100% pure red wigglers. So there's those. There's Asian blue worms. They're kind of like red wigglers, but they're more temperate. They move quicker and they multiply faster. That's the second type. There's European night crawlers. They're a thicker worm. They're good for fishing, also for composting. And then for a tropical area such as Florida, European night crawlers. And the European night crawlers, you need a temperature with them at least 75 to 85 for them to thrive throughout the whole year. But
Jane and Jay, if you guys under AJ's Green Topics and his site, he has a whole bunch of links. All right. So if you guys buy anything on his site, he also gets a little kickback.
Oh.
So if you guys could show a little bit of his links, I appreciate it during the live.
Nice.
Yep. And then I invest back into the community as well. So, I'm able to give like certain channels like a super thanks, just little things like that. And, like you give seeds. So yeah, I appreciate all the support to the channel.
Anything that comes back it helps out so much more than anybody can know, because you invest all your so much time and your love, so I know if I spent my love, I'd be divorced. You know how many more seeds I would have? I mean, geez. You know what my outside would look like?
Why am I picturing you all alone in a dark room filled with seeds?
I had 5 hearts too. Never mind. I was going to come up with a whole bunch of seeds in my hand, but they're all over the place. They are all over my room. It's kind of crazy. So a simple question. If you have a worm bin, all right, because I'm thinking of my wife here, and I had it inside in the winter and outside in the summer, that's okay, right?
Yeah.
But what happens if it gets cold outside and I bring that worm bin outside when it gets cold?
If the worm bin is outside during the winter, because you're in New Jersey and I'm in Iowa, and we get those extreme temperatures, your worms will freeze to death and die. But before they die, they'll lay cocoons to keep their population going throughout the season for next year. So the adults will die and they'll lay cocoons. But the thing about that, if your wife doesn't want you to have them in the house and you don't have a heated garage or a huge compost pile, don't even waste your time raising the worms, because you're going to lose a lot of them in the wintertime.
The way I look at it, if you don't have, like, if you have the love of growing your food, you can grow really healthy stuff. If you have the love of growing worms, you can grow a lot of worms. But once you stop looking at it, bad things always happen.
That's true.
Bad things happen to your plants. Bad things happen to the worms. So
yeah, worms are kind of like with our plants. If the frost hits the plants, they die. So worms are the same way. They'll die with that cold temperature. So
now here's I know the answer, but just for somebody that has no clue, can worms bite?
No, they don't have teeth. All they do is they just suck, like when the food's decaying, they just suck on the microbes, and that's what they do. So you won't have any issues with worms biting. But a thing I don't mess with that's not a worm, I am terrified of leeches, because I know they bite. So don't ever bring a leech by me, man.
Like,
no,
what is this?
You always have leeches in the movies and stuff. And I'm like,
yeah, I don't trust those ugly things.
Yeah.
But worms don't bite. Nope, they don't have teeth.
Austin Garrett, welcome on in. Juby, welcome. And if we missed anybody, hello. Worms will reproduce in the worm bin. What is their cycle? What is their complete? If you left it inside, what is their cycle?
There's first there's a cocoon, then there's a wisp, then there's a juvenile stage, and then there's the adult stage. And when they're full adults, they have the clitellum around their neck, and they're able to mate with another worm. So if you only have 2 worms, you'll be able to have more worms just with 2 worms, because they're able to mate with each other. But if you ever want to go that way, like just starting out, just trying some science. But on average, we recommend and encourage people to start off with at least 250 worms to 2,000, depends on your household and the size of your container, whatever you're keeping your worms in.
Okay.
So how do worms mate?
Worms are hermaphrodites. They're both female and male species, and with their clitelliums, they I'll use my finger. Like one worm will be this way, another one will be this way, and they just put sperm into each other, and then they're able to lay eggs.
Okay, so it's just by passing, even.
Yep. And then once they lay eggs, there's a chance that you can have like at least 3 to 4 babies per cocoon on average in each egg. So with 2 worms, you could have 8 worms. Just depends on how it works with the environment.
Interesting.
I know it is crazy. It's like I don't think worms are picky. I bet they'll mate with everybody. That's what I'm thinking. They don't care about who their partners are because they can't see and they can't smell them. So I guess that's perfect world for a worm.
I want to comment, but I'm not going to comment on it anymore. It's not that type of channel. How do I keep rodents out of my worm bin?
The best, like, are you talking like rats or what?
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
You'd have to keep a lid on. With a lid on top, you would definitely be able to keep the rodents out of your bin. And also, a thing you'd want to do is every time you feed your worms, always cover up the food scraps because that'll prevent like critters from getting in there. But usually, mice and rats won't smell the banana peels. But if you put meat, dairy, and stuff in there, then you'll have problems with the mice because they can smell that stinky odor from the rotten food and stuff. If you sorry, and your lids always have air holes in them because worms need air. So
okay, we're gonna get into that all from the beginning.
Okay.
From that. So I'm just jumping around a little bit.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You just keep asking questions.
And we're going to jump in all the way from the beginning, how to make a bin and all the way from there. Mm-hmm. So useful products from vermicomposting. The 3 products from vermicomposting are worms, vermicompost, and vermicompost tea. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the vermicompost. It's kind of like the worm castings. And the tea is what you make from the worm castings. So you get worms, the castings, and the tea.
Joe, I'll be right back. We're under tornado warning, so just.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just be right back, and that's why my mom was calling me.
Okay.
So give me one moment. I apologize.
No worries.
Okay, so vermicompost tea. Is it just we need a filter, we need the water, you need the worm castings? Is that how pretty much you make your tea?
Yep. First of all, if you have like 2 totes and you have like the liquid on the bottom of a tote, the second tote, that's not how you make worm tea. That's considered to be leachate. How you would make worm tea, you'd get a 5-gallon bucket, put some non-chlorinated water in it or rainwater, get yourself a pair of pantyhose, put a scoop of worm castings in it, tie up the pantyhose, dump the pantyhose in the water, kind of like a tea bag, put in a tablespoon of molasses, and get yourself an aquarium air pump, and let it brew for 24 hours. That gets the microbes started. And then within 24 hours, use that worm tea. Fill up a water bottle and just start spraying your plants or whatever you want to spray, and then apply it at least twice a month, and you'll see results to the worm castings, the worm tea. And they say worm castings, they deter certain pests. Your plants be healthier. So my thing is to anyone that's watching this video is to always try it out for yourself and then get back with me because I'd like to see your results before and after, so try it out because this. I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
So you're adding your micros to your plants, and you're adding a little bit nitrogen with the worm castings, right?
Yep.
That's how it works.
Yep. And everyone's worm tea is different because some people have coffee grounds and I don't have those, so I might be missing something. But if things are going right, I might still have enough, the potassiums in it and all the other stuff. So you never know what the perfect ingredients are. But as long as you have worm castings, you're going to succeed all the time because your worms are going to produce rich fertilizer and great composting tea, worm tea for you.
Welcome in Duncan 1900 Homestead. Welcome in Brampton Gardener. And welcome in Mike's Chaotic Gardening. 1 second. I want to see what Julianne and Joe. I really want to try a 5-gallon bucket situation this year. I love his take on that. Oh, definitely. That's what Juliana said. And we got it. Serena just has a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Someone in my worm bin group on Facebook mentioned the idea of using gold panning sifter to sift out the worms. What do you think about this?
The sifter, that's a good thing. I have 2 sifters on my, like if you go on my links, there'll be affiliate links. And then on videos, I have what size sifter you should use. But what you do is with your sifters, you just let your castings dry out. And then I start off with like a quarter sifter. Then I'll use an 1/8 sifter. It depends on how fine I want them. So if your castings are nice and dry, oh man, you're going to have great results. So I would use a sifter, but also use what you have. I mean, a sifter, as long as it's big enough for your castings to sift through, you'll be just fine. And also on my channel, you know, I have videos about an inexpensive sifter that I got from Target, and that worked perfect as well. So if you don't have to spend a lot of money, don't do it, because most of the things you already have in your household.
Guys, just let you guys know that people that just came in, Corky, there's a tornado warning where she lives. So it's more her to get in a safety spot right now than doing this live. So, Corky, if you're listening, don't worry. Be safe. That's what counts.
That's right.
Okay. I'll get myself together here. Now, a typical worm diet. What would you want to do with the diet? Like, what would you add to it? What's typical?
Basically, for me, I use this cardboard and newspaper, damp paper, and then I would use whatever food scraps I have. If I have a banana peel, I'll just use that banana peel. So that's the basic things. Whatever food scraps you have, such as apple cores or veggie scraps, you'll be just fine. And just put in a little bit, everything in moderation. And always bury your food. And another thing that I tell other people is, for me, the best method is to freeze and thaw, because the cell walls break down a lot sooner, and it helps the worms to get to it a lot faster. But there have been people that blended it up like baby food, and that's the fastest way to do it. And if you put it in just whole, it'll be the slowest way, but they'll still eat it. So it just depends on how fast you want a worm to eat something.
Okay. I had now a fattening diet. You get those worms nice and fat.
Yeah. Like Sir Mix-a-Lot. Baby's got back. Worms got back.
I love it. It reminds me of another jib jab I got to make. Now, I have notes here. To fatten a worm up, 5 parts chicken layer pellets, 2 parts wheat and rice bran, 2 parts alfalfa pellets, 1 part whole wheat flour, 1 part agricultural lime, and 1 part powdered milk. Whoa, that's difficult. That sounds like way too much.
Yeah, that's advanced level. But first, what you need to do is just go in your pantry. If you have old oat mills, grind those up. If you have old cornmeal, grind that up. Or if you have like old flaxseed, grind that up. Mix it up together, and I'll eat that. So the main thing is that keeps them plump is just basically, I noticed it's like oatmeal, cornmeal. Those are basically the 2 ingredients to feed them if you want to keep them thick. But yeah, those other ingredients, that's a lot of extra minerals for the worms.
AJ, I'm taking this class with Matt Powers, and I'm getting associated with like the top people in the world. I'm listening to these people, and thank God I could take this. Thank God I could take this class.
Yeah,
and I could take it over and over again because I'm actually at work. I'm doing 3 things. I'm doing 3 things at one time. I have YouTube going, I have my class going, and I'm working. And also once in a while, I look at my phone and go, "What did I say?"
Yeah, exactly.
I'm supposed to be taking notes, you know. It just blows my mind away.
Yeah.
So, Jay Dixon, just for those in a tornado belt right now, attention! Tornado warning is several happening now from Oklahoma to Detroit. So thank you, Jay, for posting that.
Yeah, guys, if I leave suddenly, it's because I have to go to the basement.
No, that's fine.
I don't have regular television, so my mom is gonna call me instantly. So when I need to go down, so
okay, no, I understand.
So how do you harvest worm eggs?
Would you like with the castings? I would take them out and let them dry for like a few, maybe a couple of days, or depends on how dry they're, how wet they are. Then I'll get my sifter when they're dry enough to sift through, and then if the sifter's small enough, some of the eggs will stay in there. Okay, and you're able to put them back into your other bin, or if you want to do a cocoon or just those, you can go that way. But you're not going to be 100%. You're not going to catch every cocoon that's in your sifting. So get as many as you can see that, once you sift it a couple of times and go that route. But any leftover casts or cocoons, they're going to be applied to your garden. So, but you'll see most of them. They're little orange round egg looking things. You can see them kind of like I don't know. Remember those bath salts back in the day?
Yeah.
Like that. They're kind of like mini bath salts. You'll see them. Or just go on YouTube and say, what do worm cocoons look like? And there's a lot of videos out there that can help.
I had no idea they were cocoons. I did like a miniature worm thing back in the day in my basement, mainly because we wanted them for fishing, not for gardening. And so I did this thing in a tote where I did several layers, and then we had a spigot at the end of the tote where we could run off all the worm tea, basically. And it was very interesting. And I had people just constantly giving me their scraps. Their vegetable scraps and egg scraps and everything. But it was very interesting. It was like a really cool science project to watch all these worms do their thing. And,
that's awesome. You had a great community to do that too. That's awesome that they, so kudos to you and your community.
And welcome in, Rick. Good to see you. It's great when you have other people from other places of the world visiting. It's like, we got Australia, we got Canada, we got the whole world. Now, a temperature of the worm bin outside and the worm bin. What's the difference? What's the premium level for worms?
If you have it like on average about 42 to at least 42, 40 is the lowest. They'll kind of be dormant, but they'll move around and can still eat. But anything lower than that, you got a good chance of them freezing or just going dormant. But if it's 40 to about 75, 80, around that 75 to 80 range, those worms would be more active and they'll eat a lot of your food scraps. So if you start, having your worms consume food scraps in the spring, by the time you're ready within three months, you'll have a lot of castings in there. And then about, more in the fall, kind of like in October, it feels like they start to slow back down again if you're outside.
Now, this is might sound like an oddball question, but when I'm pouring off that tea, that water from the worm bin, now if I want to apply that to my garden, how much of that tea do I put in versus water ratio, or how do I do that without burning up my plants?
See, that stuff you're talking about, like I said, we call that leachade, but I would just put it in a lot of water and dilute it the way you have and you'll be just fine. Don't put it on straight. Just make sure you have at least half water to half that mixture and you'll be fine.
Okay.
If that answers your question.
100%. Because I never understood how, I was always afraid to put it on my plants afraid I was going to put way too much of it on. And then.
Because someone might be a chemistress and tell, exactly the right portions, but I'm just like basic, just try to do half and half and you can't really go wrong with that. I
Okay.
don't know the. Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So Shawnee Shape goes, so if the bin has a little extra liquid, if it's a little extra liquid in the bin, that's a sign of overfeeding.
Yep, that's like from a lot of your watermelon and pumpkins. They have a lot of juice. So that's why it's more than water. And that's why you get a lot of liquid in there compared to like just basic feeding them. But if you put a watermelon or a pumpkin in there, makes you have a lot of paper in there to absorb that moisture.
Okay.
And that way you can prevent that from going down into your into the bottom bin, because that paper is going to absorb the moisture and the worms can eat on that.
Okay.
So I hope
And
that answered your question.
yeah, another question about the moisture stuff. I noticed when I would open up my worm bin, I would get like almost like humidity in there. Is that because of overfeeding too, or is it just because that's what it does?
That's what they do. A lot of times just get condensation in there.
Okay.
It depends on how much, like I have my bins downstairs. I didn't have a lot of holes in them at first. And then one of my YouTube friends said, put more holes in it and your worms would start acting different. And I put a lot of holes in it and that eliminated the moisture. So the first thing I would do or recommend is just to make sure you have enough holes in it to see if that works. And then also if you have a lot of moisture from the condensation, just add more paper in there too to try to counterbalance it. But I've had problems. I have like 5 bins going, and they all run differently. And I have one of my bins that's always dry, but people said basically put bubble wrap on top of the dry bin, and that'll help keep the moisture in. So now I'll put some bags on top, and when I check it in about a week or two, I'm going to see the before and after. So
okay.
So yeah, it's always something. Go ahead.
What made you want to do this? Because a lot of people are like worms. Interesting.
Yeah.
What made you want to do this?
I don't know. I think maybe because I was always trying to recycle. I'm not 100% like I make mistakes. I still get plastic bottles and stuff. But when you watch recycling stuff, all of a sudden YouTube recommends something. And then it was a worm farmer, and he was from England. His name was London's Worms and Garden. And he was showing videos about worms eating cardboard and this and that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, if they can eat cardboard, I can kind of try that out. And then all of a sudden I just got hooked on it. I don't know. It's just, we're cuckoo. We're kind of like hockey players. We're goalies. We're cuckoo. So I don't know why, but I enjoy
I just thought you'd like to fish a lot or something.
Yep, I used to fish a long time. I haven't fished in a long time, but I like science. That's what I think it is. Like you said, just the science of it.
Yeah, it is really cool. It's something I've always been interested in. I think even in school, I had a worm bin that we learned about the different methods of the bins and how to clean them out and stuff like that. So it was always interesting to me. It was science and so yeah, I totally get it. I don't think you're a weirdo or anything. It's just really
no. Yes, that's just something all of us worm farmers say because we're a different breed of worms. But,
yeah, it's just I find it really interesting because without worms, us gardeners and and stuff like that, we wouldn't have the soil that we need. So it's really interesting topic. So.
So her question down here. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
Welcome in Marketplace Boutique. Welcome in. And just to let you know, a lot of people have been posting, Corky, that you should get alert on your phone. I don't know if you have that set up.
Yeah, I have an alert, but it's always slow. My mom's actually watching the television, so she's going to call me as soon as if something happens. I live in a valley, so more than likely nothing is going to happen. So.
Okay. Indiana Backyard Gardener has a question, and I think she has worms of her. I think she's had worms in her past, or still presently does.
Okay.
How much food per pound of worms?
If you have a pound of worms, go half a pound of food.
Okay.
And then if the pound of worms don't eat that half a pound of food within a week, don't feed them until that half a pound of food is gone. So 2 pounds, a pound of food.
So if you had one of those large bins, right? You
Yep.
should have about 1,000 worms per large bin. Is that
Oh
correct?
yeah, they can. Yeah, it depends on the size of your bin. Like they call them continuous flow through systems and stuff like that, Joe. Like the big bathtub bins and stuff.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
you can get a lot of worms in there. There's a lot of surface area for worms to thrive.
Yeah, and setting up a worm bin is not hard either,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you can
Nope.
totally get some totes and totally put this together, and it can be really easy too. Like, and it cannot. I mean, it won't smell either. Like you could just put the lid on it and put your food scraps and your egg peels, all that kind of stuff in there, and you would. I mean, before you know it, you're gonna have a ton of worms in there.
Yeah, and you're right. That's 100% correct. Yep, and usually if you go around your neighborhood, someone's always throwing totes out. There's always people that don't realize what they can use that tote for. Or if you find empty totes, you could use that for like plant seeds in as well, if you're a gardener.
Okay, so that's going to lead us to our next conversation, is setting
Okay.
up the worm bin. But first, before we do that, I want to show AJ's YouTube page so you guys could check that out. And can I show like 1 minute of the video you just made with the class?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm going to show that too, so everybody gets to see. So AJ was the YMCA. He did a presentation, which is pretty cool.
I think that's so cool that you're educating people on this. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, it's weird. I was really nervous yesterday.
Really?
I've never liked that. Yeah. That's a good thing. Keeps me humble.
Yeah. It's so cool. I love that you're doing this. So
thank you.
So I believe the last time I had AJ on, he was on Garden State Gardeners channel. I think he was below 1,000 subs. So now he's really getting up there. He's getting closer to 4,000, which is amazing. I tell you what, this man really loves his craft. And make sure you go check out his site. Follow him. You'll learn a lot. So here he is in this video. I'm going to play a little skip it just for about a minute because it's 42 minutes long. And if you guys can see this right here, that's some of the bins he uses. So AJ, before I click on this, can you tell us about the bins you use and what's the size of those?
The worm bins behind me, it's the found of the worm bucket. It's a 2.5. Then there's the 5-gallon cat litter that has the worm castings in it. So that's the basic sizes. And downstairs I have like at least 30-gallon totes with my other worms in them.
Now, do you sell these on your site, or do you have what's the company that you could get these from, or you just get one of the cat litter boxes and do it yourself?
My go-to person is Mimi's Worms. I did go with Uncle Jim's when I first started, but Mimi Worms, if you go on her reviews, good customer service, great person, and 100% customer satisfaction. So I would direct people to go that route. But if my local friends would like some, then I would just direct it towards our community because shipping is really expensive when it comes to handling worms.
Welcome in, Wickershire Project and Food Forest Permaculture. Welcome in.
I got a question too. Like, I just got my worms from a local bait shop.
Yeah, okay.
Is that okay to do?
I was thinking about trying to buy some, but like there was a store, I can't say what the name of it is, but it starts with a W, and it's like a big, but you don't.
Yeah, pretty big company.
Yeah, they have them in captivity, and for me, I wouldn't buy worms if they were in a container for you don't know how long.
Okay.
Because worms weren't meant to be captive. Kind of like, people. If we're like that, we'll lose our minds. So if you cannot go that route, buy directly through a local worm business. And Mimi's Worms, who I go to, but there are plenty of other great businesses out there as well. So that's just one person that I talk to, and I'm affiliated with her. So look into her as well. But if you're in New York, you have Northeast Worms. There's a lot of great people out there to touch base with. So
I know you could buy worms through the mail.
Yep. She ships them. You can get whatever you like. If you want to get half a pound, 500 pound, or 8 pounds, there's a variety of how many
500
worms.
pounds of worms in the mail. I can't imagine what the postman would think.
It'll probably be like 80 different shipments, but you'll get them.
That's funny.
Oh gosh.
I'd love to have that for my wife to see coming in the door.
Oh my
I think
gosh.
she'd be
Yeah.
very happy.
Oh,
I can't even get her on a good day on that one.
Yep. And speaking of worm bins, there's a friend of mine. She's in Canada. Her name's Sandra, and she has a turtle worm bin. You know that swimming pool? It's a turtle. She uses that as a worm bin. So it's pretty cool that she has that big swimming pool with all those worms in it, with an old swimming pool.
So Juliana had a question, and I think I answered it before. For a 5-gallon bucket, how many worms for that? She doesn't want to overload.
I could go at least 250 for now, and then they'll multiply every 3 months, and then after that, if you have more worms, just it'll go bigger because worms, they multiply every 3 months, supposedly in a perfect world. But once you get your worm bin started, like when you show this workshop video, I talked about leave the worms alone. They don't want to be bothered. They'll multiply and they'll be just fine. When you first get them, yeah, you're all excited, but check on within like a week or two.
Ginger readies her protest signs and chants yelling, "Save the worms!"
Yep. Worms.
I usually go seed. You go worms.
Exactly.
But we all go together. Like gardening, worms, seeds, we all go together.
Yeah, that's right.
What zone is AJ doing this in?
I'm in 5A. I'm in Iowa.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah, our winters, we can get down to 55, minus 55 easily.
Yeah.
So it fluctuates around here. But it's been a nice Floridian weather this year. We haven't had a lot of rain or snow, and we have a drought going on right now. We used to have about 15, 16 inches of snow within the season, but we probably got like about 4 feet, if that, this year. So, yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm going to play a minute or two of AJ's video here because we could talk about the bins and see what he's doing here in his speech. I'm just going to move it around forward after this.
The key to being rich.
Oh, you can skip it.
There you go.
And nitrogen, but you need air holes. In my totes, there's a lot of holes on the top. Some people don't have the lip on at all, but with a cat, I don't do that. I don't trust them. I don't want. But anyway, always drill air holes. A lot of air holes on the top. On this one, they're on the side. On the top, you're just fine. They won't get out. If they're happy, they'll stay in there. But they're called Indian blue worms, and they're more of a different temperament. If the weather changes from spring to winter, they kind of call out because they don't tolerate the temperature as well. But all you do is you open your tote, your lid, and just push them back in. So,
Great.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
Well, how long does it take, like, if you put in a bunch of worms? How many worms can go in a container that size?
Okay, for this container here, they recommend 250 worms. Because the reason he made this kit, and he also said he almost was shown on Shark Tank with this, but at the last minute, he told me that something else came up. And I was like, oh, that's cool to hear from a person like that. But 250.
Okay.
If you had this one, like a 5-gallon one, they're kind of the same. People can make it the way they want. You could go 500, and then a tote, standard tote. Yeah, 2,000. So
then if you put in like half
Yep, you would start off like how it works. I always say to get your worm done started before you get the worms. Get
Okay. So we're going to stop right there so you guys can check the rest out because we got to answer those questions anyway. We got to start right now. So go check that out, guys. Okay. So we have our bin. We bought our 5-gallon bin.
Yep.
What do we do after that? And I do have a question. Is sometime answer this in the next couple of minutes. After we're going to get our earthworm castings. How do we get those out if they're all weighing about them?
You can either put your hands in there and hand take them out, or just dump the whole bin, and then, or you can, before you do that, we call it migration or bait method. Push the castings over to one side, feed one side with just food, and they'll go over that way. And then that way you should have just strictly the castings, and it's easier to sift them out.
Man, worms are smart.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how it is, but you'll have a few stragglers in there, but you won't have if you have 2,000, you won't have 2,000 over there. You might have 100, depends on how many are left over there. But yeah, they're smart. I don't know how they do it, but yeah. Yep.
So a worm, like you hold the worm and all of a sudden it wets in your hand. What is it actually doing?
If it wets, I don't know. If it's like wet, you said wetting. You said they're wet in my hand.
Is it peeing on you?
They don't pee on you. Worms don't pee on you.
That was. Got to ask these questions here.
Yeah, they don't pee on you.
Very serious conversation. Okay,
no, but they soil on you, right?
No, they don't.
But I could know myself. I could know myself. Sorry.
You're good. That's a good one, though. Like that. That's awesome.
I'm going to cry in a little bit. I'm trying to keep my composure. If you guys can put the link out in the place where you can buy the worm castings under AJ's site, I appreciate that. Because any kind of little kickback AJ could get, that is great. I'm trying to think of a place I get my earthworms at. Nature's Good Guys. That's where I usually get
them. Okay.
But today's not about Nature's Good Guys. Tonight's about AJ's Green Topics.
It's about the community.
That's right. Okay, so we get a bin. What's the first thing we should do after we get the bin? The holes?
Clean it out. First, clean it out with warm soapy water. Rinse it out. Get that out of the way first. Yep, and then start drilling holes in the lid. A lot of holes. Every worm bin's different, but some people have drilled holes on the side and put like mesh to prevent the worms from getting out. But I've never done that. I just drilled them in the top of the lid and never had a problem with my worms ever trying to escape through the lid. I mean, they'll crawl up the side, and when you lift the lid off, that's where they'll be. Sometimes, like I say, just push them into the back in the bin. And if they get out, they die and they just become worm jerky, And so, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's like people think you're going to have a mass exodus of worms on the floor. And the only way you'll do that if the bin's not right, the pH level's bad, or it's acidic, whatever that word is, or there's no enough oxygen or air, then they're going to try to get out. But other than that, I never had a mass exodus of worms ever trying to get out.
Okay.
I'm just looking at a question.
Yeah. My wife said you gave me an eye roll. You better not.
So Serena came up with another question. My demo garden has a cinder block worm bin, and last summer it got so hot the worms died. What can be done to prevent this?
Is that cinder block thing is directly outside in the sun? Because if there's no shade, you're gonna have problems. So you're gonna have to put a tarp on it, And also, you're going to have to make sure that it's always damp. Because if it's, like I said, in the hot sun, you're going to have huge problems. Or if you don't want to tarp it, just put some damp cardboard on top just to give them a place to migrate over. Just like with any worm bin, if worms don't have a chance to get out of the heat, they're going to die. So, yeah, if it's like I said, I'm guessing it's probably out in the sun.
If you guys hit the thumbs up, we appreciate that. As Corky and I, or every kind of host, when we're doing these lives, we don't see any kind of thumbs up. So we appreciate if you guys could do that for us. So God's Desire for me says, do you have a problem with gnats around your worm bin if it's outside?
Oh, not outside. You'll get them out there, but inside you can get a problem with gnats, or you can have a problem with gnats. And the reason they come around is because I don't know what it is about bananas, but they say a lot of the eggs are laid on the banana peels. So the best thing to do is always freeze banana peels before you put it inside your worm bin. And make sure you always cover it up to prevent those stinking fruit flies to get into the worm bedding. But you can make a fruit fly trap really easy. Just get yourself a bottle, cut it in half, put apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of dish soap, tape up the bottle, put it upside down, or, and the fruit flies will start going inside of that hole and they'll die. So little inexpensive organic fruit fly trap.
Now, the reason I stopped doing my worm bin was because I got gnats and flies really bad.
Yeah.
What did I do wrong?
Did you freeze your food?
Mm-mm.
Then I think that's the main problem. If you don't freeze it, you're going to have problems.
Okay,
Big
so
time.
freezing it kills like eggs and all that crap, right? So that's probably what we were doing wrong then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think if I never had an experience, I would experience that all the time too, and would have got frustrated, and the worms would have been out here. And that, like I said, that's what it is. It's from not freezing and killing those little larva eggs.
Okay, that makes more sense now.
Mm.
I might have a worm bed now in my basement again.
Yeah, try it and make a video.
Yeah, because that was the only thing that kind of stopped me. I was like, man, why do I have all these flies? Like, it was annoying. So that's why we got rid of the worm bin. But now I know.
Yeah, because that'll definitely reduce the fruit flies, like I said, when you freeze and thaw.
Is it helpful to blend your compost in a blender with a little water for the worms? Is it easier for them to eat?
Yeah, if you blend it up, they just consume it a lot faster because it's more of a liquid. There's really 3 ways to feed them. You could feed them like a whole apple, or you could freeze the apple, or you could blend the apple. So blending's the quickest, then the freezing would be second, and the whole would be the last. So yep, the best, if you have time and you want to blend it, do it that way, but don't put all of the blended food on top of the whole bin. Put it on half of the bin, just in case it gets too hot. The worms can migrate over, and then when it cools down, they'll go back and eat that.
Hey, look at that. Jay Dixon goes, earthworm jerky on Amazon, and you got the Newport. Now, that reminds me, probably the same company that makes the purple GMO tomato. They probably do purple together.
Yeah.
During the apocalypse, we'll always have food.
Yeah, but YouTube, you look at that link, you're going to have that for years on your feed. Recommending you videos of worm jerky.
Now, AJ, have you ever had chocolate-covered earthworms?
No, I was joking around with my wife about, chocolate-covered crickets, and next thing you know, Amazon's recommending that all types of crickets. So no, only worms. Okay, I have a confession. I have eaten a few worms, gummy worms.
No. I don't know. If the older I get, if somebody just mentions something nasty, I'm just like, I can't handle it.
Yeah.
Like eating worms.
Yeah, I don't think I would make it on Survivor if I had to eat worms.
No way.
I'd rather eat grass.
So our last interview is with food forest permaculture, and every time I think of his name, what pops in my head is layers, 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 because that's how you build your soil.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you typically do the same when you do your worm bin? Is it the same exact things, or you're just constantly putting different? Anything goes in, and you just put that kind of layer, or does it specifically goes all banana peels, all something else, all something else? You know.
Yeah, no, whatever I have besides meat and dairy, I'll put it in there. And I don't layer. I just go like a tennis court. I'll just feed food scraps on one side for the first time, then I'll put it in another location. So I just do it that way. But there are people that do. Her name's Anne from Plant Obsessed. She does the wedge method where she'll just feed this one side, and eventually it keeps getting moves over and over. So she'll just have only castings on this side, and then eventually the worms just keep moving over like a tidal wave. Yeah. But the thing about that, just don't overthink it. Just feed your worms, cover it up. You don't have to like mark the spot where you fed them last time or this and that. The worms will do their thing. You just feed them, and they'll take care of you as well.
What is the coolest thing you've ever seen your worms do?
The worm balls is the big thing that we go crazy. It's like if you feed them an apple, and then you have say you have 4,000 worms, and you just see a ball of worms in that one location eating the apple. That's when a lot of us worm farmers get excited. Just the mass of worms. But yeah, if you have his name's Patrick from Learn by Doing, Vermicompost Learn by Doing. When he sees worm balls, he always gets excited. Really good guy.
So guys,
I've never seen that ever. Have you seen that, Joe?
No, I haven't.
That's cool.
I'm going to play a video for you guys quick. Mm-hmm. And it's a video I made out right before the live that I think you guys get a good crack out of. And it's my genius in me. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm even playing this. So right before the live, I was like, I got to do something. I'm in a funny kind of mood. I don't know why. And so I'm giving AJ a couple breaths here, get a couple glass of water maybe, and I'm going to play this video for 2 minutes, and hopefully you guys like it. I don't know if you will or not, but there we go.
Guys, it's Fern. Yes, Fern. Well, you know what? We got my buddy AJ Green Topics on tonight on Grow Big TV. And he's my friend because he feeds me all the time. Yes, all the time. He keeps me warm inside all year round. You know some interesting facts about worms? You know worms will become paralyzed if exposed to light for a long time. You get paralyzed. You don't move. You know worms breathe through their skin and have no lungs. Whoa. You know worms can regenerate some segments of their body. What else do you know? Worms are cold-blooded and have 5 hearts. 5 hearts. Love me again, and love me again and again. Yeah, 5 hearts. The average lifespan of a worm is 2 years. 2 years, but they can live as long as 8 years. Look, I'm 8 years. Look at my head. Boing, 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 boing. Yeah, I'm an old guy. Well, you know worms have tiny hairs on each segment. Who knew?
You said hairs?
You know worms are hermaphrodite, both male and female. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, crazy world out there. Getting away. Boing, 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 boing. You know baby worms hatch from cocoons. Yeah. You know the giant Gippsland earthworm is the world's longest worm, 9.8 feet long.
Oh, wow.
My favorite worm Yeah, he's the big guy. He's the big guy. He is famous. You know, worms digest half of their body weight on each average day. Wow, there are 6,000.
Well, anyway. And with that, in case
I
you
want to
guys
see the part two.
watch out for
Go
worm
ahead.
naked, watch out for worm naked gardening day.
That was great facts, Joe. Good job, man. Wow.
Oh,
That
we
was
even
that-
got Howie using boom. He's like, LOL, funny, Joe. Worms are the intestines of the earth. Boom. I love you, Howie.
Okay, so
Oh God.
creating that worm bin. Anything else you should let us know about creating that bin? Pointers.
Always prepare before you get the worms. Put in. Some people use peat moss. Be kind of careful with that because there could be chemicals in it. So I never use that. They call it cocoa core. It's a brick.
Right.
Try that with your own discretion, but don't buy the bad cocoa core. Like if certain big box stores carry that, don't go that route. But just go strictly. I said damp cardboard, damp newspaper. Get some eggshells if you can grind them up with a magic bullet blender, really fine. Sprinkle some of that on, and just get a little dirt before you start. Just get the microbes and all the bacteria started, and then once your worms come, you like put like a banana or something in there, cover it up, put the worms in, and let them chill for about a week, and then check on them. Because the eggshells, it's a grit for them. They have a gizzard, so that's what helps them to digest their food.
Interesting.
You know, with biochar worm castings, the way it enhances water retention. I can't. We're all into this biochar kick right now.
Okay.
I think it's so beneficial because everything that gets to your biochar stays there. It doesn't leak out. So if the worm castings and all the nutrients and the soil structure and everything involved on top of the biochar, that has to be absolutely amazing for the soil and the plants. Have you ever
But
used
also, I'm sorry.
Have you ever
Go
used
ahead.
biochar?
No, I have not. But if you use that, you could like use that and your sifted worm castings together and make your own fertilizer. So, there's always opportunities to use what works for you with your worm castings because you know exactly what's in your garden, what you're feeding your worms. If you go to a big box store and you buy like worm castings off the shelf, you don't know how long the worms or the castings been there, what's in that, if there was any other like contaminants applied or what. So if you can, just go organic with your own worm castings, because once you get your worms, like I said in my workshop yesterday, you're able to make money off your worms. They can eat your food. You can make money selling your worm castings, and you can make money also with your worm tea. So a one-time investment, you're going to reap a lot of benefits if you think about starting your own little mini worm farming business or going big time.
See, one of the big things is with our show is feed the soil, not the plant.
Yeah, go ahead.
And if we do that, if we make the plants happy, we are all going to be happy. And we got to change the mindset of how people think in society. And that's the reason why we're talking about worm farming today. Something so simple, something so easy. But in the chat, does anybody have? Does anybody vermicle? I can't even talk anymore. I'm still laughing from the freaking video. Does anybody vermicompost? Oh my god, I still can't say. Does anybody have a worm bin? I want to know that fact in the chat.
How do you feel about the jumping worms and the invasive species coming in? And what do you think we can do to prevent them.
See, that's one thing I don't really know about how they're invasive, but I don't know if it's like in Mississippi and stuff. They have an Alabama jumping worm.
Oh my God.
It's like a big one that flips and it's invasive. But I don't know what to do because they're, I think they were here way before mankind was. So it's something we have to live with. I don't know if they're beneficial to the garden, what they can do. So I really don't know a lot about that invasive species of worms. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I just think it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
I don't think in the United States we have had them before. So I think they're kind of they're in like an invasive species here. So it's just kind of really scary. I don't know. From what I understand is they also eat the good worms. So
oh yeah, I believe that too. Yeah. That's just how it is. It's the cycle of life. Only the strong can survive, right? Predators, apex worms.
All the more reason to start your own worm bins and make your own soil.
Yeah. I think I talked about too is you could use leaves as bedding. European night crawlers really like the taste of leaves, I guess. But I would recommend not to put those in your worm bins because leaves have critters on them. So if you want to risk the chance of mites or snails or any other thing getting into your worm bin, you go at it, but don't even attempt putting leaves in your worm farm unless it's outside. So yeah, you have a huge mess, mites and springtails, and a lot of people say that they're beneficial to the ecosystem. But if I don't have to have those in my house, I don't even want to take the risk of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want those in my house either. So
yeah.
So AJ, if you bought worm castings from Walmart, for example,
okay.
This is what I got. Right?
I see it. Yes. Yep.
How good is this? Is it worth buying?
I wouldn't buy it because I don't know the shelf life. What's the expiration date on that?
That's a good question.
And what's in it? What does it say? 100% worm castings or? It's got nitrogen and worm. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. Like it says, like with my worm castings, the only way I could find the correct balance of nitrogen and phosphorus and all that, I'd have to do a quick soil test of it. But I just don't trust buying stuff from the store anymore because there's a lot of things they say there's no like added ingredients in there, and I don't trust kind of the marketing schemes anymore.
Yeah,
they kind of like sneak things in there. It's like no.
That's the reason why I asked that question.
Yeah, no, but
because I don't trust anybody anymore. So
yeah, but if you're like, if you bought them and you didn't know, use them. But now that if you watch this, now you know, don't ever buy them again because I am like, save your money, get them from a local person that has worms. That way, they're guaranteed to be fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if you bought them from an ag store, for example, they're $40, $50. They're very expensive. Yeah. You go to Walmart, $7.99.
Yeah.
Big gimmick to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like another guy was talking about worm tea, how it's on the shelf too, but how long has it been sitting there? That's why you make your own. You use it in 24 hours, and you know that it's fresh. So I try not to buy. I try not to buy things anymore. I try to make my own stuff because I know what I do and what I put in it. And yeah, there's a lot of people that like to get over, and no, I just don't. I don't trust so many people like I used to anymore.
Yeah.
Now, if you made your own worm tea, how close do you put it to your plant? And what if you touch your leaves and stuff with the plant? Is that a good thing, bad thing? Would you wash it off right away?
Oh, like if your hand touches it, you mean? on
No,
your
no,
own
the
skin?
plant, like the plant's
Your
leaves.
plant.
So you're spraying it and all.
Oh,
Is that a bad thing?
no, just get your dial sprayer to the mist. You just mist it, the whole thing. If you can get underneath, hit the kind of by the roots, you'll be just fine.
Okay, so by the
Yeah.
roots. Okay.
Yeah. And my thing is like I always like people have my YouTube my Facebook channels, AJ's Green Topics Worm Farming Community. Try things out, do before and afters, put them on my Facebook page because I told like yesterday at my workshop, I'm like Thomas in the Bible. Sometimes I doubt things. You show me, and then I'll believe it. So I want other people to see the results, and that will make people start believing. And instead of a lot of people do a lot of this, actions is louder than words. So let's start showing the world what worm castings and worm key can do.
Right. 100%.
Now, why does worms love cardboard?
I think I don't know something. I think because there's some type of glue in it as well to hold it. The corrugated cardboard has some type of glue, and I think they like the taste of that. And when it comes to the cardboard, I have a shredder. I have a 12-page shredder. I had it for about probably 9 years now. It cuts CDs, but I can shred my cardboard, and I just get it damp and put it in there. But if you don't have a shredder, just get your cardboard damp and just tear it by hand. It doesn't matter how big the cardboard is, they will eat the cardboard, you know? So don't overthink it. Just like put the cardboard in and just call it good. And a lot of times the worms, they like to breed in the tunnels of love in the cardboard. So there could be worms in there too. So,
Do you play music too? Barry White? I can
yeah.
just see it.
Come on, baby.
Oh my gosh, I love you. So
That was great. You know, shit. I play the Fat Boys when I'm in my garden. We are the Fat Boys. Jeez.
Hey, whatever produces more worms here. We got to set up some kind of romantic scenario.
Oh gosh.
Can somebody like Wickershire order worm eggs for his property? I would love to see Wickershire project the worm farm. He could have it around his whole property.
Oh, wow.
That'd be awesome. Hey, Bill, you could have a business there, by the way. Who knew? Billy's awesome. I don't know if you know the Wickershire project, but
no.
You tell that man something once, he'll remember forever.
Oh,
He just
wow.
has that
That's
type
awesome.
of mind.
He's super smart. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Okay, so when you're doing your layers inside your worm bin, or not layers, but putting stuff down,
Yeah.
how often do you put cardboard?
Every time you feed. Unless you're going to get ready to harvest, always put cardboard in there with your food.
Okay.
They like to eat the food scraps within like 1 to 3 inches of layers. But sometimes there'll be worms a lot deeper in the castings and stuff. But the more they eat and keep pooping out the waste, the more of the cardboard keeps moving up. So that's the thing that I noticed. And always fluff your bedding too. So that way it gets the aerobic air movement, because if you don't fluff it up and get air, you could have problems with a stench if it becomes anaerobic. But if you have so much carbon in there, it will definitely cancel out the smells.
Let me see.
Yeah.
So if you were harvesting the vermicompost, would you harm any of the worms when you do that? By moving
them? Like with the sifter, they like when you sift them, they get caught up into the screen, but they kind of go through stress. But you try to just get them and throw them back into your bin. But a lot of the big time people, you've seen it before. They have those trommels, those big things and yeah, I think the worms probably go through a little bit of trauma because of the shock, but but after a couple of days, they're back to their normal routine.
Okay. Guys, if anybody has any questions, just make sure they're all in caps so they're easy to find. What are some of the common mistakes in vermicomposting? I can never say that word. Jeez, vermicomposting. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, no, because I hear it so much from other people. Overfeeding, not feeding them at all. Letting the bin just go completely castings. Not harvesting the castings when the worms are in there. And when it comes to harvesting, harvest your castings at least every 3 to 6 months. You'll be just fine. Too hot of a temperature. Like if you have them outside in a bin with no drain holes on the bottom, the rain, if they're not covered, they could drown. And freezing. So those are the main things. If you feed them, don't overfeed them. Make sure they have, a protective area, some air, and other than that, your worms you won't have any issues. But the main thing I see is everyone likes to overfeed them. They'll put 20 pounds of food in there for like 3 worms, and the worms just aren't able to consume the food scraps. And another thing is the leaves. When people bring leaves in, you see all those pests. But a good book I would recommend is The Worms Eat My Garbage by Mary Applehall. That's a really good book. It's got a lot of great information in it. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of questions, so people can always touch base with me. And there's plenty of other people on YouTube that have videos out that can help you. But don't believe everything that you hear. Always try things out for yourself. But my method of worms, my bins, they're successful. I never had any issues with them. So that's why I try to say, if you got a question, ask me, and I'll be honest. And if I don't know, I'll tell you and direct you to other great people that I know that definitely have the answer to your questions.
Gail said, Joe, what's up? What's up?
Jay Dixon actually had a question.
Here's a question from Jay Dixon. So Jay goes, could AJ discuss different types of worms, indoors and out, types of worms for the bin?
Outdoor worms or the earthworms? Different worm, they burrow deep in the soil, different aerating your soil and things like that. And if you have those in your garden beds, that's a sign of healthy soil. Because the worms, if it's not healthy, worms won't be in there. The bins, depends on where you live. Red wigglers, blue worms, or European night crawlers. My best bin is my diversity and inclusion worm bin, I call it. It has a mixture of red wigglers, blue worms, and European night crawlers. They're all in the same bin. You get different castings. They eat different things faster than others because, like, the Europeans might like the cardboard over the red wigglers, but how they're made, they won't breed with a different species of worm, so you won't have any issues of cross-contaminating.
Okay.
If you're going to start a business and you had time and you had the mixed worms, you could actually take the time out and if you wanted to do a bin with all Europeans, you could take time out and just split all the worms up. But my recommendation for anyone now, since I've been raising worms, it's my personal opinion, just get you a order of mixed worms. So that way, if you want to go fishing, you already got your European night crawlers in your bin. You can grab at least 10 or 15 worms and go fishing with them. If you're not doing a business, but if you're going to do a business and you want to sell worms, just call European night crawlers. So that's just my personal opinion.
So to harvest the worm, the castings.
Yeah.
You just grab them from the bottom, and that's how you go about it.
Yep. If you don't have a sifter, you could put your castings out, make certain piles, a lot of piles, and use the light method. And eventually the worms will start going down to the bottom of the pile. Excuse me. Just keep taking the layer off. Come back in a couple of minutes or so. Then eventually you'll have nothing but worms on the bottom and strictly castings on another pile. But if you do that way without sifting at all, you're definitely going to have a chance to lose a lot of your cocoons.
So worm
But-
castings are basically it's worm poop.
Yep, it's the worm
Right?
poop. Yep, and it does not have any smell whatsoever. It's
Okay.
like dirt. Seriously, it's weird how.
But it's really strong in nitrogen, right?
Yep, this is strong in nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, all that good stuff. Because especially when you feed them like eggshells and stuff, you know that you have the calcium and whatever scientific vitamins are in certain vegetables and fruits. But there have been people with larger scale bins. They have you put meat and dairy and stuff in it, but don't do that. You know, like says
Yeah, because that can create maggots and mealworms.
Yeah,
and
that's what
all kinds of stuff.
exactly. Yep. So there's a
Those things scare the crap out of me.
yeah, they're
Unbelievable.
ugly. So the thing, like I says, if you just want to keep a standard system with no problems, paper, cardboard, you know, moist paper, moist newspaper, cardboard, some eggshells, food, little dirt, and that's all you need, and you'll be successful. Once you get more experience, and you can start trying different foods in another bin as an experiment bin. But other than that, don't even risk doing anything like special just to try things out. And if you're going to attempt something, at least ask me and I'll tell you exactly before you do it to give you a heads up. But there's like I said, there's other people on YouTube that actually do experiments. So there's plenty of other great people out there as well.
My Renaissance grandma's here. Welcome in. I love that lady. I think she's totally awesome. What a great supporter of so many channels. Serena had a question. How do I draw worms to the surface of my yard to collect for a worm?
Those are different worms. You might have problems with those earthworms, but I've seen people there's people that have used like Dawn dish soap or some type of soap, put it on the ground, and the bubbles stuff makes the worms suffocate, so they come up that way. There's other people that have put rods in the ground or something, like a piece of wood, and did their go-getter thing. And also there's other people that have shock worms to come up to the top. But if there's a rain, when it rains really hard, usually you see a lot of worms out in the morning. It's because the moisture and the chances of them drowning, that's why they always come to the surface.
Worming is really, really popular, like in Massachusetts and those areas. And I've seen a lot of people do the vibration thing, and it always makes the earthworms or whatever rise to the surface. And I had no idea. Some of those are called bloodworms. And they
I don't know what the bloodworms are. I'm listening to you though. Go ahead.
I thought those worms do bite.
See, they might, and I know I've seen like those invasive those Alabama jumper worms come out of the ground when they did that. So
that's scary.
I won't bother those worms. They're good. But yeah, just be careful when you do those type of worms in a worm bin because they're different type of worms.
The only kind of worm I know that bites is they call her Snooky. Snooky worm in New Jersey. What color worms? Gotta watch out for her. Snooky, I mean. What color worms are bad for your soil?
What?
I know it's purple. I know it's kind of.
Yeah, haven't really experienced any bad worms in my soil. Up in Iowa, we don't get like the invasive species like the warmer climate. So I just have basically earthworms in my garden. And when I find those, a lot of times I put them in my compost pile outside.
That's probably because you guys get like way big negative degree weather. And it probably kills a lot of them.
Yep, and I'm
That's
okay with that.
About living in a cold weather climate.
Yep, I know. That's the only thing I don't. I mean, I like that, but I hate being cold.
Yeah, me too. It kills all the bugs, but I freeze.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, AJ, you should do a class and grab all the worms and teach everybody what does a red wiggler look like? What does this look like?
Yeah.
What does that look like? Because, you know, to me, worms are just like if you went out and found a bug in the garden. What kind of bug is it? I don't know what kind of bug
Exactly.
it is, you know? So maybe some kind
Exactly.
of class would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Like I said, my friend, her name's Nat Sandra from Nana's Worms and Garden. She's like a doctor. She's got like a doctorate degree, and she's really
wow.
good on the scientific worms and the species. And check her channel out. And if you have questions about the scientific terminology, she's a good person to go to. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
more like the basic level. Let's keep it like at least high school. I'm good with that college level stuff.
Yeah, sometimes it gets so high up, like it gets really hard to understand. Like worms, they poop
Yeah.
and they eat a lot of stuff. Like I don't need to
Yeah.
know the scientific terms of every
Exactly.
little every
Exactly.
little thing.
Yeah, and that's what I try to do with my channel. I just try to keep everything simple.
Yeah, and
I
that's
don't.
great because that's how people learn too.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
yeah.
So AJ, would it be easier to start small than doing a big bucket so they can understand a little more? Is it easier for them to
Yeah.
start small?
Yeah, if you're gonna start, just get yourself one tote. You can get a small tote. Don't get like a shoebox tote, but get a little bit smaller, a little bit larger. Go that way. Depends on the size. Get you about 250 worms. Wait about 3 or 4 months. See what you got going on. Within a year, after that, you have a lot more worms. Just keep taking the bedding out. The castings, new bedding, and that way the worms will keep multiplying. But worms, they're like fish in an aquarium. They can only expand so far. So if they're getting too populated with the bin, they won't breed anymore. They'll stop breeding to prevent overcrowding into a worm farm. So yeah, because I started off with 2,000 worms, and now I probably have I'd say probably about 10 to 15 pounds of worms right now.
What does the Asian jumping worm look like?
Oh, you're kind of, not to be mean, but
Does he look like me in that thing?
They kind of look like yours, but uglier. And they're long. They're long, and they move and they jump. They just look a lot different than a regular worm. I can't really explain them, but if you YouTube or Google that, you'll definitely see what one of those worms looks like. But they hop around, they jump big time. And I think, like I said, those are more in the Minnesota, Texas area, I'm guessing, or not Minnesota, Mississippi, Texas region. So, in Alabama, that type of stuff. But sorry, I couldn't really explain what they look like. But yeah, look it up on YouTube or Google.
There it is. There's the Asian jumping worm.
He's uglier than that one. And they're fast. They're fast like a garter snake. They can move. Yeah. See, someone just answered the question. Juju2407, explain what they look like. Yep, they do have a large band. They have a large clitillum, like she said. It's like a really white, big raised white.
No, I thought I heard you talk a little bit about that, but I think I was worried about my house being taken over by a tornado.
Mm-hmm.
Now those bands on them, what does that do? What is that band?
That shows that's where they mate. That's where they have their sperm and their eggs.
Oh, okay.
So yep. That's a sign that they're adults.
Okay.
Now, would you add earthworm castings to your seed starting mix, or would you wait until after the plant starts to grow to add earthworm castings to it?
Oh, you can start it now. You can start it with your seedling castings, your seedlings. The best thing to do for your seed starting mix is kind of like mix it up with like half and half or something, whatever the ratio, and put that onto your seed starting mix. And then once they go bigger, like if your plants are in the garden, then go more with the worm castings compared to like the diluted half and half of seed starting mix to the full potential.
Now, with worm activity in the bin, what would slow it down and what would increase it?
Like slow it down as in like being cold and the heat, hot,
Yeah.
cold.
Is there any other
Yeah.
factors besides heat and cold?
That's it. That's it. Hot, cold, and if you put like too much food in there, they won't be, and they can't escape. They can die because of the heat from the food decomposing. But other than that, no worries whatsoever. There's really no major problems.
Could you put your bin in a closet?
Yep. Some people have them under their bed. Some people have them underneath the coffee table.
I'm not putting my worm bin under my bed.
That's what I'm saying.
Women.
Some people had it some people had it looking like a coffee table, and no one's ever known. Yeah. And someone in the chat said they bought themselves a worm bin 360, and that's a good kit too. It comes with certain things you need. So, like I says, there's no right way to do things, but always like says, if you're just starting out, just get yourself a tote, or if you want to, you can go with the starter kit because they're both good systems.
Do you guys remember R.L. Stine Goosebump stories when you were little? And like you'd read them. That's what the worm bin under the bed reminds me of. It's like it reminds me of an R.L. Stine kids horror movie book.
Yeah, if I want to be free this weekend, the only thing I have to do is leave a worm bin under my wife's bed.
If you do it before she gets there, she would never know.
Honey, I dropped something under the bed. Can you get it for me?
Yeah, she would not be happy.
How do you?
But notice something too. I told the people at the workshop, had a couple of girls, ladies that were terrified of worms. They wouldn't even touch them, but something changed where they actually now they got their hands on them. They'll hold them like kids, and so I don't know why people change when it comes to worms. So if you're scared of worms, there are people that have gotten over that fear of worms. But I know there's phobias for people as well.
Yeah, as I get older, I'm not really all that scared anymore of stuff. When I was younger, yeah, maybe, but
yeah. And they don't even use, most of them don't even use gloves. I mean, they're just natural with the worms. So
they are kind of slimy though. So
you have a whole mass of. And also, if you have any cuts or something on your hand, always wear gloves because you could definitely get a chance of contamination or something in your skin.
Sorry, guys. I was just reading some. I got to know New Jersey, some law or something thing. And it was just breaking news, but I have no idea why it went to my site. It went to like all the news organizations and us. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, how did I get linked to this story? Yeah, I should not get linked to that story. Jeez, I'm not in politics yet. I'd be worse than Trump.
Yeah, that's why, guys, this is so important. Like, so you don't have like invasive worms. It's so important to like make your own soils and stuff like that. And because you don't know, you could be importing your soil from Mississippi where they have the Asian jumping worm, and then all of a sudden, bam, you use that in your potting soil mix. And so I've known people that did that, and then they got that hammer, like Jujubee was talking about. That hammer worm in their garden because of that. So,
and prayers for Rebel Canner's son got in an accident today.
Oh, sorry.
And so Tammy's here. Hope everything's okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That happened 1 hour ago.
Joe for president.
Oh my God! You know, I would really run for politics, AJ. I really would. And thank God there was no videos back in the day.
Yeah.
because I would be in big trouble.
Uh-huh.
I did a
I
lot
hear ya.
of crazy things, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's made for another channel. I mean, uh, so how about houseplants? So you have your houseplants, your flowers that stay there all year round. Could you
Yeah.
use earthworm castings in that?
I
Or
think I mean, you could have a chance of like cocoons being inside your house and hatching. I would probably just, if you're able to, take the plant outside and just spray worm tea on that, you know. But if you
Yeah,
want to
so
put
just
worm
fertilize
castings,
it. Don't put those in
yeah,
there.
yeah, that's what I would do.
and you see, well, what we've been discussing is a lot of people have small garden spaces or grow
Yeah.
in in apartments, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's not going to be any issues on the balcony somewheres with anything if you use them?
No. My little that little mini one, the worm bucket I had at that workshop, it's good for apartment people. A nice size kit to use. Some people also, for like their outdoor worm bins, they've used grow bags and started composting with those as well. So there's a lot of things you can use for raising a worm bin. And they say the thing about grow bags too is the moisture drains out and they kind of dry up a lot faster than like a Rubbermaid tote. So, grow bags another option if you're interested in trying that out. But
Now,
you got
how
a good
about
chance. Go ahead. Go ahead.
now, how about overheating? Like if it gets really hot, it's 100 and you left it outside,
Yeah.
right? Now you got to make sure you're not overwatering too. It seems like
Yeah.
get some balancing problem going on here.
Yeah. I have a friend. He's a friend of mine in Florida. He has a worm bin and he puts like frozen ice bottles.
Right.
He puts those in there to keep it cool if it's like in the hundreds. He has it in shade, and like I said, he will freeze water bottles and apply that to his bins to try to keep them cool.
Now, how about stuff like with pH factors?
A lot of pH things is from like maybe like orange pills, pineapples and stuff. You can feed your worms that, but in moderation, just a little bit of that. When you add your grit, like your eggshells, that kind of counterbalances out the pH. But I have never checked my pH balance. So if you don't put like a lot of acidity in there, like even tomatoes, just in moderation, you'll be good. So a lot of people spend money on like the thermometers and all that stuff, but I've never bought anything extra and haven't had any problems with my worm bins.
Now, if you use for layering for worm castings, is it like a little layer around your plants? Do you put it deep in the soil and use compost? Is there any kind of, or do you like if you have your the castings, you just lay it on top of your plant and they just let it gradually sinks into the ground?
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Once your soil's tilled or whatever you do to get it set up. Once your plants are out there, just set it on top of the soil at the base of your plant, and then eventually it'll slow release its nutrients into the plant. But if I'm sorry.
How about like if they're around like anything toxic? Does that definitely don't use those worm castings if you're in a toxic environment with a toxic area, or does that replenish your soil? Or
I don't know about that. I would, if anything's toxic, I wouldn't risk it because where I live, our state's the corn state.
Right.
They spray chemicals on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm like, but I still buy it because I haven't grown corn.
Yeah.
It's like, so I'm eating what's out there. But hopefully, eventually I'm able to figure out how to grow corn so I can have my own in my own backyard without any chemicals applied to my garden.
Yeah, the glyphosate. We had the glyphosate lady on, and she's like the fact finder for everything in America, which was an amazing interview. Check out that interview; it'll blow your mind.
Okay.
And if you guys in the chat, check out that interview with the glyphosate girl lady. I mean, we're so happy to have her on. But the stuff you have with that is your soda, beers, wine, any kind of grain. I mean, 80% of the people have glyphosate in their body. And they're looking for links in timing for time, how everybody's coming down with all these issues. It goes perfectly with the timetable with glyphosate, which is really, it's very scary.
Yeah, like all different types of stomach issues and stuff like that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about with the kids and stuff like that. Yeah, you think this will fight this and this thing will fight that, and they don't. It's not as a whole. It's not as a group. They could do a certain thing, and then no, they got to do it to this group, but they don't do it with this. And it's a cluster something. I can't say that next word.
I understand.
So I'm looking down my notes.
So Corky, what made you start a worm bin? Do you mind me asking you?
Because we liked to it was a long time ago, but at that point in time we really liked to fish and we didn't want to have to pay for worms. So we just did our own worm bin, and then every time we wanted to go fish, we took them out and it worked out perfect. But we haven't done it in a while. Now, though not this last year, the year before, we went fishing quite a bit. We got a canoe and we're like, dang, we wish we had the worm bin, because those worms are so expensive to just buy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you don't get that many.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we might start that back up. And this time I have like a bigger reason to have them too, because I have a huge garden now, where before I lived in the city, I barely had a yard. So, but yeah.
That's cool. And I know too, like, if you're gonna buy worms, because I don't sell worms like to anyone else. If you're gonna buy them, like, buy them this week, because next week they could go up again in price. Because every day you put off, everything's going up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I paid like $45 about 10 years ago for 2,000 worms. And I think now it's probably like 70, 80 bucks.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Now, AJ, did you hear about with the Chernobyl with the worms?
No.
Oh. oh. So I'm going to put up an article. I got to find it quick. So you guys chat for a second.
Okay.
So I found it somewhere today. I read about it today, no less.
Are they neon color? That's
no.
What I want to know. Do they glow in the dark?
You don't want to show me a picture again.
Well, answer a quick question while you're looking up your thing. He says, is it true that you can keep your worms outdoors in the winter in an old deep freeze? Yep, long as the lid's off. And also depends on wherever you live, because if you're like in the Midwest, you might have problems, but if you can keep it insulated, you'll be fine. But it depends on where you live. What's that? Location.
Yeah.
So I seen this article today. Whoop. Oh, I hate when you get ads. The worms of Chernobyl have apparently conquered radiation.
Oh.
That would make sense because they go through soil really fast.
Yeah, exactly. Radon and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is it called radon and stuff? Yeah, and they've been here way before mankind. We're the problem. We're the ones that are making things synthetic and just modifying. Even our plants, some of the seeds you have, Joe, it's like half pineapple, half tomato. It's like, how are they making modifying certain produce to be. It's not meant to be like that.
Exactly.
It's not. I mean, even dogs growing up, we used to call them mutts, if it wasn't a. Now you got like the cockadoo.
Yeah, now they want you to make a mutt. They want it.
I'm like, we're messing things up.
They're like paying $3,000 for some mutt.
Exactly. Yep, mankind is making big mistakes.
Yeah.
So around Chernobyl, they said tree frogs that should be greener instead black. Feral dogs have displayed genetic differences when compared to nearby populations. Some birds have mistakenly adapted to surrounding radiation, and wolves in the area have developed reported resistance to the radiation, usual cancer including effects. Oh, we're here. Look, I can play something. This is awesome. It's 50 seconds.
Oh, is this about what the worms look like?
Yeah, I'm going to play it.
Cool.
Breaking news on Grow Big TV. What the heck just happened? Oh, skip an ad. Okay,
Yeah.
Hold on.
Why were they taking the NYU? Crazy. That's really cool.
Yeah. Now if they could just figure a way to modify that into a human to help fight her cancers.
Yeah.
There could be a patent. That's where the money's at, if you can think of that.
Like, they need to study that because that would be really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And think about it, like people that do chemo and radiation and stuff, if they can like somehow figure out how that worm does that, maybe people can get over chemo and radiation faster too.
Yeah.
Like it could be a whole thing.
Thank you, Wanda.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, AJ. I really appreciate you coming on. I hope you had a good time, and we'll love to have you on again.
Yeah, this is awesome.
It was. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this live.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, check out AJ's. Thank you, mods, for posting links the whole time. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you soon, AJ. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. Bye. I tell you what's so hard to get some people off. Like, I don't know how to get people off. I want to keep them on, but how do you do that? And how do you get them off? Because you don't know when the time. But that was awesome.
It's awkward. Yeah.
So awkward. I'm so awkward doing that. It's like when you talk to a girl on the phone for the first time. Like, how do you get off? She's still talking to me. All right.
Yeah.
I hope you guys all enjoyed that. And I tell you what, that was great with the Russian stuff at the end. Didn't expect that.
No.
It's like this popped up in there. I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
That's crazy. I had no idea. That's really cool. And it's probably because they process things so quickly. Like, so super cool.
Okay, guys, we have something new. Boom. We're going to have free seeds to our every single live. So since we have 2 members here and they both won. They just won. They just won right now. Serena, you won because you're a member, and Ginger Ninja, you won. Boom. So I'm going to be sending you guys some seeds. But otherwise, every single week, every single live we have on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're going to spin the wheel, and the members that are here have a chance to win seeds.
Yep.
And we're also going to give other seeds other times too. But members only spins, I should say, not just spins, because we're really trying to. Oh, 1 second. Wanda says something. Wanda goes, Joe, you don't know how to get off. I don't know how to get off. It's a major problem in my life.
Wanda.
What is she talking about? Anyway, Jay said, look, winner, chicken dinner. Congratulations, Serena. And if Gil's here, Gil's our other member. We have 3 members of the channel right now. And hopefully that will increase. So become a member, and we'll put you on a wheel. And we really gotta figure out a way to get memberships. Just look at it that way. I'm sorry if I have to say it that way and be out front, but just wanted to say that.
Thanks for coming on, AJ. You're super cool. I'd love to have you on more often, and you're funny. So, yeah, we love you. Thank you for coming on and telling us about these worms, because a lot of people want to know. What are you sorry about, Wanda? There's no need to be sorry, girl.
Serena, you won seeds. You won seeds, Serena. You won seeds, just like that, because you are a member. So, which is pretty cool. So Ginger Ninja and Serena, send me your address, because if I don't get an email, I forget within seconds.
Yes, you have to send him an email, no matter what, even if you think that he has sent you one before and he'll just remember. Just send him one anyway, because he's a busy guy and he gets, so just send him that email. It just helps.
Yeah, guys, I get around 200 emails a day, and it's really easy to forget things. So when I see an email, at least I'm glued on it. So,
Grandma Karen, we're on every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. now, Eastern Standard Time. And we have a whole line of guests lined up for this whole month. So if you missed us today, next week we'll have, who are we having next Tuesday?
I'm looking it up right now, because I do, guys, I really have to concentrate exactly who we have on during a week. Right after the show's over, I start working on the next week. And so I have, it's not even on my mind. I know we're getting stuff ready for the Fearsome Foursome, which is really cool.
This is going to be so cool, guys. We're going to have the top people on YouTube on this Fearsome Foursome. So we're going to have Garden State Gardener. We're going to have Gardner Scott, Mary from Mary's Heirloom Seeds, and Chili Chump.
Chili Chump.
Yeah. And I'm so excited, guys. It's going to be a really great, deep discussion about lots of cool stuff. So I can't wait.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a roundtable discussion with several YouTubers at the same time as like a rapid fire questions going around.
Yep.
I mean, I've seen other channels with the dating game, but not the gardening world kind of thing like this. Because a lot of people.
Happy Mac, we appreciate your donation. Thank you so much. It really goes, it helps us, one, and it goes towards a lot. Like things like postage right now, it's so expensive. So thank you so much.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out what I was looking for. I'm going through my phone and I have no idea what it was. So our next guest is Tuesday, and he was a student under 2 of the most prominent people out there, Matt Powers and Elaine Ingram. And so I'm looking at my messages.
Hey, Jane Doe, can you send or put out in the, oh, never mind. You're already on it. I love you, Jane Doe. Thank you. I was looking for it, but my computer's slow right now. Thank you.
I'm going to look up his bio, Quirky. I'm here. I'm just going to look up his bio, so I'll show everybody who our Tuesday guest is. Just hold on, guys.
Yes, we like to make our guests mods. That way also they can share their own links and stuff like that. So yes, AJ's a mod.
Okay, just 1 second. Let me just. All right, I'm all set up. And we're going to give some seeds away too. You guys been great. Everybody stayed this whole entire chat. That was awesome. So let me go all the way up top. So he looks like a young man, but man, you know what? Some of the youngest people we have had in this channel, they kind of blew us away. Just like the guy with the mushrooms, Jacob. He was so awesome.
So smart. Like, so cool.
So, business owner, biodynamic farming teacher, permaculture landscape designer, organic garden coach. But with all this information in his bio, look how young his picture looks. One man of a few gardens.
Yes, I am, AJ. I'm pretty close. I think about 100 or 105 or something away from 2000 on there. That's me.
So he's an experienced student under Dr. Elaine Ingram with a living soil food web, student of Matt Powers, knowledgeable business leader, community leader, and teacher if anyone looked for ways to save the world. And, you know, it's perfectly said. It's exactly what we've been trying to teach here and try to change the way you think about the soil.
Dude, you saw me on Facebook today. My brain today, I don't know, it's like I've been taking vitamins, lots of vitamins lately, and my brain has been going crazy. And I was thinking about soil today. I was thinking about so many things. Like, thank God for Grow Big TV. Because I don't know if you guys out there have learned a lot, but it's like today, everything just kind of soaked in my brain. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel smarter. But yeah, I just like everything hit me all at once today. We're getting such great guests and we're getting so like just awesome information. So yeah.
So over here, he worked with many companies and farms to increase yields. I mean, this is exactly what you guys should want to learn, right? How to increase your yields, increase immune systems of plants. Perfect. Build living soil. Perfect. Both indoors and outdoors. Perfect. I mean, he have worked on 250 acres to small homes. Perfect. So from the big to the small, I mean, this is going to be a great, great, great live, guys.
I can't wait, you guys. It's going to be so cool.
And it's all about putting stuff together. Another guest that we're going to have on, he's overseas right now. And he's going to be the one that's going to put everything together. So this is, can you see this, Corky? I can't see anything.
I can barely see it.
Okay.
There we go. It's a little bit bigger. Yeah.
So this guy lived next to one of the top, I don't know if I should even say it. Okay, let me see if he has it in his bio. I don't want to get in any trouble. Just hold on, guys. This guy was all about fertilizer. He was right next to he lived right next to one of the top fertilizer companies in the country. Just say that. So all his life was about feeding the plant, not the soil. So this guy is one of the most famous people out there that has totally changed his way and methods of growing his food.
Yep.
And as you can tell, author of the best-selling Quadrility, teaming with microbes, teaming with fungi, teaming with bacteria, and teaming with nutrients. All right. So all his life was fertilizer, 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 because his next door neighbor was the biggest company in America.
Yeah.
And then he'll get phone calls and arguments with all people that he was surrounded with. And then he got a phone call and it totally changed his mind of thinking with microbes. And now he's one of the best, one of the most famous people out there. And we expect him to be on our channel within the next month. He's on vacation, or he's not on vacation. He's overseas teaching. And when he comes back, we're going to have him on, which is so awesome because what he has, what we're teaching is exactly what everybody else is going through right here. And what better person to have on a channel? I mean, I'm really nervous about that one. And Serena, think of your joke now, Serena. You got your chance. This is your joke of the day. Serena's joke of the day is coming up in a second before we leave. So let it go, Serena.
Also, guys, we want support as much as possible. We're going to be on Urban Gardener on Saturday, Saturday the 23rd at 10 a.m. So if you can just come at 10 a.m. to come and support us.
But we're not at it. We have to do our show at that time for something else. I think his show is at 1. We have people in the chat.
We're just being recorded.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're not being recorded. We're going on live on his show.
Oh, okay.
The Wickershire Project's usually in his chat. Jay Dixon's in the chat. What time does the Urban Gardener go on? So they could tell us automatically. It's right when I Uber. When I'm starting to Uber is when he comes on.
Okay, so I need to be there for that time because I was told 10 a.m. So now I'm
10 a.m. is something else.
Oh, okay.
I'll
clarify that for me because I'm like so confused right now. But anyway, we're going to be on the show. I'm super excited. And guess who's going to be on the show as well? I can barely talk. James.
There it is.
Tony. Whoop whoop. So excited. Yeah.
So it's 2:00. So 2:00 on the 23rd, we have us and and James.
Just make sure it is the 23rd now because I might have gotten the whole thing screwed up.
I believe.
Is it the 23rd or is it the 21st?
We'll get back to it. It's either Saturday or Sunday.
We'll let y'all know. We'll put it in the community tab. Our brains tonight are not in sync.
Enoch is going to be on our channel that Thursday, though. So he's going to promote his live on our channel on Thursday, and then we'll be on that Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
But we'll be live, which is pretty cool, being on that same show with him that day, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Serena joke. Okay, here's a Serena joke of the live.
Thanks, Jujubee.
What's worse than finding a worm in your apple? Finding a half worm.
It's so gross, man.
I got that, Serena. I got it. Look, it's up there. But yeah, Serena, I don't mind doing a joke. Just make sure it's at the end like this when we finish up.
Seriously, Jason Momoa was your guess? That's who you thought we were going to be on with? Do you really think I love you? But no, we're not on with Jason Momoa. That'd be funny though, but no, we aren't.
I am trying to work other famous people, see if they come on, guys. So if that ever happens, that's freaking great.
Yes, we're going to be on with Jason Momoa. You know.
Hey, we already had our last guy. He's been on Fox News, ABC, NBC, and Grow Big TV.
I wonder if he'll put that on his resume.
That's right.
I was on all these channels. And
that's right.
You know.
I forgot. I don't think that's going to happen. But I was trying to get Hulk Hogan to come on our show. That was actually we were supposed to be doing a promo. But
I think Hulk Hogan was super cool. That would be really funny. I would love that.
Imagine if that ever happened. But yeah, connections just didn't work out as much as what we could have had. That was that was something else. That would have been funny. That was amazing.
You know, I just posted. Remember, I think I talked about this on my channel where I was talking about how celebrities are now having farms and they're growing their own stuff because they can afford to have they're not doing it. They're paying for these teams to come in and take care of everything. Well, I just came across an article with Kevin Bacon and his wife, and they have a farm. And it was so funny that I'm like, wouldn't that be cool if we could get Kevin Bacon on Grow Big TV? Just thinking outside the box.
So when I was with Angela from 90 Day Fiance, we're talking because we talked for 6 hours or 7. And so I go, hey, would you do a favor for me? I'm going to call my partner up on my show. Can you talk to her for a little bit? So all of a sudden, I had to call Corky.
He called me. I love watching the show. So when he said that he had her in the back of his Uber, I was like, what? I was just like in shock. And so, yeah, so funny. Plus, she's super nice. It was just really nice talking to her for a brief moment.
Serena, right now that's not happening, but if it does happen, we'll let you know. You'll never know when that's going to pop up. But we'll find out. Okay, guys, listen. Yeah. I gotta get some seeds started. Then I gotta go to bed. I gotta start my seeds. So that's gonna be tomatoes. And I gotta get that done before the night's over. I gotta wake up at 5 in the morning. That's what I do on Fridays, and I come home 4 in the morning. So tomorrow's
at the end of this month. I have to get things started.
So I gotta go. I gotta get some sleep because this is the last day I get some sleep until Monday, which is not much. So anyone, I hope you guys had a great live. I really enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun. And thank you, AJ's Green Topics, for everything you taught us. And I'll take care, everyone. Love you guys. And we'll see each other on Tuesday. Become a member, and we'll get you on that wheel. So take care, everyone. Have a good night. Bye, guys.